Hello and welcome to the Summer Conversation Series. My conversation today is with Wendi Fredregill, and you guys, her story of just the way that God got a hold of her is just really, really inspiring, and I really think you're going to love it. She was not easy for God to get her attention, but when he did, he really worked a huge miracle in Wendi's life. So I was inspired by her story. I think that you will be as well. Wendi is a health and wellness coach. She is an alpha host. She's a member of our Hope West Des Moines community. And so I hope that you are as blessed by this conversation as I was. Enjoy. Well, hello, Wendi. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for joining me today here for the Summer Conversation Series. These conversations have been so much fun for me personally because it's helped me stay connected to people that I haven't been able to see. And then hopefully a few people are watching them, basically.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for being here today. Wendi, will you just start by introducing yourself and telling everybody a little bit about you?
Yes, absolutely. How perfect I'm in this room with the orange. It goes with the summer theme. So,
love it.
My name is Wendi Fredregill. I live in West Des Moines, and I retired from doing hair for 24 years, and I started a new business. I'm now a life coach, life coach, mindset coach.
Awesome. So I'm assuming there are a few details in the middle there, which we are going to get to those. But tell us a little bit. You said you live in West Des Moines, and one of the reasons that you and I kind of know each other beyond hope is because we have kiddos the same age. So tell us a little bit about your family, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters, which is kind of cool because I have 2 sisters, so I know all about the three girl thing. So my oldest daughter, Marina, goes to Wartburg. As well as your daughter. And then my middle daughter, Savannah, is going to be a junior at Valley. And then my youngest is I almost said 8th grader, a freshman. Yeah.
Awesome.
So Marina, Savannah, and Zoe.
Yes. Yep. And so Zoe is headed to Southwoods this year then?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
Very
and
fun.
we have a new boy in our family. We just got a new puppy. So I'm a little tired.
So the last time we talked, you didn't have your puppy yet, right?
No, our Bernese Mountain Dog died in December. He was 10, and it was like quarantine decision. Hey, we're all home. It's a great time to have a puppy. So
there you go. Yeah. Yep.
I was telling someone a new puppy is like having a baby, but also having a toddler you have to teach manners to all at the same time.
It's very true. Very true.
So it's a lot of work.
Yes. But your puppy is probably the size of some people's full-grown dogs.
Oh yeah. He's 8 weeks and he's bigger than our neighbor's dog as a puppy.
So then there's that too.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Just the size of the puppy. Awesome. Well, Wendi, I wanted to connect with you today because when you told me kind of your story about how God got your attention and how God was just really showing up in ways that I just really think people need to hear about because God showed up for you in very specific ways, but also you recognize that that was God showing up and not just happy coincidences. And one of the things that I've come to understand is that, God gives, as Jesus said, the sun shines and the rain falls on the just and unjust alike. The difference is one group of people recognizes where the gifts come from, and then they're able to give praise back to the giver of the gifts. And other people who don't recognize that, just have a little bit of good luck and go on with their day. And you recognized where those gifts were coming from, maybe not immediately in the moment, although I think you did eventually, but basically God got your attention in a big way. And so can you just kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Well, man, I'm known to be stubborn. I'm known to be headstrong. I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. And man, when I get something in my mind, watch out. But so I go back and forth between perfectionism and procrastination. It's on or off. And so I think one of the things I love that I've learned about God is he has an amazing sense of humor. And he knows each and every one of us so well. And so he knows, like, to get my attention, he really needs to just kick me in the rear end. And so I think that's what it took. You know, I grew up going to church. It's not that I never believed in God. I've always believed in God, but I didn't have that personal relationship. I would say even growing up, it felt more like this, you know, when they talk about the Holy Ghost at church, I was like, oh my gosh, like someone's always watching me. I thought he was waiting for me to do something wrong. And I never got that feeling of just pure joy and hope. It was more of a kind of a fear. And so, you know, as I got into high school, youth group was like, oh, that's going to take away fun time. You know, I didn't know that you could be a Christian and have fun. That was a concept that was foreign to me. And so I would say what really got my attention first was in college. My roommate, my sophomore year at UNI, she just had this thing, this light in her that I couldn't figure out. And I was so drawn to it. And she had such great friends and such a great soul. The way that she testified to me was so calm and not overt. You know, it was just, but it was kind of more of like a little roller coaster as the years went on. I would have moments where I definitely felt his presence, but that relationship wasn't there. And so this was in summer 2017, so I would have been 43-ish. At that point, I owned my own salon studio. So just the stress of being a business owner, solo business owner, having 3 kids, late singles, early teen years was a little overwhelming. Just some financial stress, just all these stressors. So I felt like I was living on caffeine, sugar, and stress. Like those were the fuels that would get me through the day. And I've battled my weight my whole life. So I was, you know, by the ripe old age of 43, I probably tried every diet on the planet. Just never felt good enough. Felt I didn't take compliments well. I've always used humor to deflect. And so if someone gave me a compliment, I'd usually have a smart aleck response like, oh yeah, you know, I just really deflected compliments. I really had to put on a great face at work doing hair. And so usually by the time I came home, I was zapped. And so I wasn't very nice, I don't think, sometimes to my husband and my kids. I was very snappy. I kind of reserved all my angst for them because I knew it was safe. And so I just knew that God had a plan for me. I just wasn't sure what. And so at that point, I'm thinking, well, I can't go back to school. I'm 43. I've got to start saving money for college for my kids. And, you know, I was like halfway done through college. And I was actually talking to one of my hair clients, and she's like, you know, we always seem to talk about health and wellness. And have you ever thought about health coaching? And I'm like, what? What's that? And so we talked about it. I checked into this place she told me about, and I kind of put it on the back burner. And then a few months later, I was at a networking event of women business owners, and I saw someone there that was a health coach. And I asked her where she did her training, and she said the name of the place that my client had told me earlier that year. So as we're in this parking lot, we both looked up at the same time, and she's like, Wendi, I think that's a sign. Like, yeah, I think so too. And so I go to the website, and there her face is on the website. She was on the promotional material from my recent retreat that I had. So it was like, okay. So I thought, okay, God, I just said, show me what to do. There's that song by Third Day, Give Me a Revelation. Show me what to do. So I'm in my car, I'm listening to that song, of just bawling. And I was like, just give me a sign. And the sky was clear as day, like nothing anywhere. And I'm singing that song and I'm crying. And I looked up and this huge eagle flew. It's like it came out of nowhere. So again, he knows to kick me in the butt. Like he has to give me these signs that I can like not even discount. So that summer I was super stressed. We went on a family trip and I just wasn't feeling great before we left, but I thought it was because I was overworked.
Sure.
Yeah. And it just kept getting worse. It was like in my lower back. So a few days into the trip, it just kept getting worse and worse. And I thought I had a kidney stone. And then we had spent the day on the lake. At the end of the day, I took my swimsuit off and there was this kind of bubbly rash on my left side. And again, you know, I feel like God is whispering at me all the time. And I'm like, oh, pfft, oh. Pfft. So I'm like, oh, it's just a rash. I was in a swimsuit all day. You know, well, finally, 2 a.m., one of the nights, like I almost drove myself to the emergency room. The pain was more than I could stand. It was awful. And so I went to the urgent care the next day and found out that I had shingles. Yeah. And I thought only old people got that.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm only 43. And then I learned that usually at that age, it's from stress.
Yep.
And so I felt like he had been trying to tell me something, but I wasn't listening. So this was just put me flat on my back. I had nothing but time while I rested to think about, what am I doing? You know,
Yeah.
But I was always at the bottom of the list, you know?
Right, absolutely. A couple of things that you said kind of stood out to me a little bit, and you know, just been really honest about how you were doing everything that you kind of knew how to do to get by and to put on a brave face. And so other people outside of your family would have said, oh, Wendy's great and she's super talented and she's, you know, all of these really wonderful things, right? Great listener, I'm sure they would have said, right? All of that. And so on the outside, that was the perspective that people probably had of you. And on the inside, you know that you were like scraping the bottom of the barrel to get by. Right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the things all of a sudden, and not all of a sudden, honestly, like, as you said, God was whispering to you and you were just, you know, saying, no, thanks. No, right. Ignoring that. But all of a sudden, the things that you had done prior were not going to work anymore when you're in excruciating pain because you have shingles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Ooh, yeah. It's very humbling. I'd say the thing that's happened to me in the last few years is I've become so much more self-aware. I think you get so busy, focused out somewhere else, that when you are forced to look inward, it's like, whoa. And so it's not a fun place to go at first, finding all my faults, admitting that I was kind of being a jerk to my family. You know, just having to accept those things. And I think that's what's been so great about this relationship with God. I know that he knows those things and he doesn't care. You know, so ironically, the night before this all happened, we had gone to this beautiful production about Moses at this great place in Branson. And I had even prayed that night, like, Lord, what's going on? And so that was the next day that I figured everything out.
Wow. And so then you talked about how, you know, you were in serious pain from shingles for several weeks, and you kind of then, you kind of got to the end of your rope with that as well. Do you mind telling that story?
Yeah. I consider myself pretty tough. I mean, I had Savannah without pain meds, you know. I felt like Wonder Woman for like years after that.
Yeah.
I had so much fire from that I ran a half marathon. I was like, I can do anything. And so I did. I started taking on these things I thought I couldn't do. But I tell you what, 7 weeks of that kind of nerve pain just did a number on me. And I think it was also because I had to go to work and pretend I was fine. And I would come home and just crash. And it was so bad. I told my doctor, like, I'm self-employed. I have to work. So I had some pain meds and I definitely abused those. You know, that's not something I've admitted till recently, but I really felt like I was abusing them, but it was just to cope and get through. So adding what those pain meds can kind of do to your brain and the pain, like I just kind of felt lost in like a shell. And, you know, the pain numbs your emotions too. you know. And so it was about 7 or 8 weeks in, and I was going to bed early. I had had a long week at work, and I just remember I was by the side of the bed, and I just looked up, and I'm like, I don't want to wake up tomorrow. Like, I'm tapping out, you know. So the next morning comes, and I wake up, and I'm like, I had the weirdest dream that I said that I didn't want to wake up. And then I stood up, and I just felt this dread come over me. I was like, oh gosh, that was real. Like, I really said that. And I just instantly started laughing. And I was like, well, you didn't listen to me. You clearly have a reason for me to be here this morning. So I just said, all right, let's do this. You know, that's when that fighter in me kind of came out and was like, no, not having it. And so the next day when I woke up, the pain was gone. I think I had been carrying it almost like a burden, almost as an excuse to check out, as an excuse to give myself rest.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do that as moms, that we think we're Wonder Woman and we never get to rest.
Right. Yeah. So you woke up.
I
you woke up the next day, right?
Figuratively and literally, yeah. I woke up.
Yeah. So at what point, how did you know how did you just have the sense that was God? How did you know that was not God and just, luck, or the way your story unfolded? How did you know that God was doing something?
Yeah, it just felt different. It felt like it was outside of me. And a lot of things that had happened, it was almost like I envisioned like a puzzle, you know, when you're putting a puzzle together and you have the pieces scattered on the table, pieces started coming together. And the path that I started on to be a coach, like, everything was easy. Whenever I was listening to him and what I thought he wanted me to do, it was easy. And then I'd get my little bull, stubborn-headed, stomp, like, no, I know what I'm doing. And whenever I would veer in that direction, it would go wrong. And it was like, oh, And so, and we had been going to Hope. We started going to Hope because I knew the program was great for kids. So it was more of like, I need to do this for my kids. And so it was, try to go often around all the holidays, but it was starting to feel like, no, we need to be in church more. Like, I went because I wanted to, not because I felt like I had to.
Sure. So was it after you started to feel better that you took Alpha, or was that before?
I took Alpha after my trip.
Okay.
Kind of the big point.
Yeah. Okay. So let's back up then. So you wake up, you're like, okay, God, and you kind of have the sense that he's giving you a new lease on life. And truly, right? Is that appropriate to say?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. And so what was the first step that you took?
Well, my husband's so great because, I'm an all or nothing. So when I have an idea, he just kind of lets me go. Like, he's like, you know what, if this is what you want to do, go for it. So
right. That's very wise.
That I had his support. So yeah, I signed up. I started in October of 2017 with my health coaching. And so Health Coach Institute twice a year has these retreats or, big events where we all come together, which is super cool. I feel the way there that I feel the way at church. Like, when you're in a room full of people that you're all there for a purpose, and you're all, it's palpable. It was so great. It was like a breath of fresh air to be around like-minded people who wanted to up-level themselves as well. So somebody had said, hey, I live here in Arizona. If anybody wants to hike the day before, come join me. And so we were on a private Facebook group. So there were a bunch of us that started talking on there. And I'm like, let's do it. And of course, my family, I've been preaching to them, don't talk to strangers. They're like, these are strangers. You don't know them. You're going to go hiking in the desert with strangers. And even Jason was like, oh, I love this. So we met up and we laughed about it because everybody else said the same thing, that they were like, you're going to go out and hike? And I said, listen, you guys, I'm just happy to be here with no kids. I don't have the energy to kill anybody, so don't worry about me. I just sort of laughed. So we all agreed, and we just started hiking. And what stood out to me so much at first was my friend had done this hike, so she was leading, and I was always leading all the time. And it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, all I have to do is follow them. I don't have to think about if we're going left or right. Like, it was like, oh, I just get to just walk. And so for the first part of it, I don't even think I talked to anybody. I was just walking, one foot in front of the other. No, we're not having to worry about anything. And just that in itself was huge, to go somewhere by myself. But I had a lot of guilt, of course, like, oh, should I be spending money? I shouldn't have left. But the guilt just kind of poured off me as I hiked. And it almost felt biblical being in the desert. You know, It felt like a trek.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we just kept walking. Of course, since we're coaches, we were digging deep and talking about heavy stuff, you know, no small talk. And at some point we just decided to take shelter and get some water and get some shade. And it was beautiful. It was almost like a tunnel that was created by rocks coming together. Well, you could see in the picture I sent you. So 3 of us just kind of sat and talked. And at some point I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel really peaceful and relaxed. I'm like, what is that feeling?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I had this epiphany, like, wait a minute. I can feel peace even though I'm overweight, even though I'm having financial stress. Like, I always thought, when I'm skinny, when I have money, then. And God just hit me with, girl, you can feel that anytime. And I think since I was in nature, I just felt so connected. I mean, you can't be on a desert hike and see the beauty that I saw and not believe in God. I mean, just gorgeous.
Yep.
And so there were multiple times during that hike that I didn't realize it, but I was praying. I was talking to him and I was like, gosh, should I even be here? What am I doing? I shouldn't be spending money. I'm missing a week of work. Like, I just had all that guilt again. I was like, should I even be here? And so we decided we needed to keep going, and I would turn to walk away from the area that we were in, but one of my friends needed help getting up. So I turned back around. I came over to help her up. And at this point I turn and I look on the side of this cave rock area. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. I grabbed my phone and I took a picture and I said, will you guys come over here? I don't know if I'm hallucinating or what's going on, but do you see what I see? And they came over and they're like, it almost looked like either chalk or like someone had taken a rock and it said W.F. And I have witnesses that I did not do it. And I just stood there like, wow.
Yeah. So for any of you watching that haven't put 2 and 2 together, Wendy's initials are W.F.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you know how I said I don't take compliments or I try to discount myself? I started laughing and I said, well, you guys, maybe there used to be a T here. And, you know, it was like, you know, WTF, am I in the desert? But they're like, no, there's periods right there. You know, I was even trying to discount. There's no way that my initials would be on a rock. But I tell you what, like, that was, I don't know if I needed permission. You know, we think we need permission for things. But it's like he was giving me permission. And of course, my friend Miranda was like, girl, maybe you were here once before, or, you know, like.
Right, because these are health coach people. These aren't necessarily Christian people, right? So, yeah. So there's a lot of kind of other you know, kind of things that we would disagree with, but you can go with it, right?
Exactly. I was just like, I don't know. So, and then the rest of that, I mean, this was before the retreat even started. I'm like, I could have gone home from that, you know. Yeah. And longer story, I could save this for another time because I want to talk about it. We ended up getting lost. We were supposed to end up here. We were over here. Someone helped us, like that it was just a crazy chain of events. Again, that God was with me the whole time. And I
Yeah.
think I was so peaceful that I wasn't even scared. I wasn't even
Yeah.
scared that I was lost in the desert and out of water, because I just felt so at peace and I knew he was with me.
Yeah. And I'll just comment on that real quick. You were lost, but lost is exactly where you were supposed to be. I mean, I just think that
I
that
know.
is bananas. And that's just God just showing off a little bit on this.
For real. Yeah. I mean, lost in the desert. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm like, I'm done. I'm good. I can go home. But then I go to this retreat and it just filled me up. And man, my life has not been the same since. But I remember thinking, I know that I'm a Christian and I want to also have a tribe of Christians. And so it was from there that I kept hearing about Alpha and wondering about it. And I thought, maybe that would be a great thing. So I can have my health coaching tribe. And there are plenty of Christian coaches that I know as well. But
sure.
I love the idea. Like, I really wanted to start getting more involved at Hope and kind of building that Christian tribe. And so that's what drew me to Alpha.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the influence that Alpha specifically had in your development and in your understanding of God and in your walk with God?
I might need a bucket for my tears. Let's see, I'm trying to think. It was a year in February. So that would have been February 2019.
Okay.
That I did Alpha. And God knew what he was doing. And, they pray for what small group they put you in. And I was put in a small group with all women, but they were all older than me, which was so great. It was like I had these built-in mentors. Oh, man. And then the Holy Spirit retreat came. And that was when we had, it was 2 days. So we had the Friday night and the Saturday morning, and I almost didn't go Friday because I was just emotionally in a bad place. And they just encouraged me. They're like, Wendi, just come and just let yourself do this. I'm like, oh, okay. So I think Friday night was just, I don't remember a lot about Friday night because I think I just allowed myself to just soak it up. But then Friday came when we could do soaking prayer.
Saturday, the next day, right?
Or sorry, Saturday.
Yes, yep.
I want to rewind really quick. So one of my hair clients, we really started talking about God a lot. Like I never brought it up unless somebody would bring it up. And at one point she asked if she could pray for me. And I never had someone ask me that before. And so after that, like, we would pray together after every appointment. And so here I go to Alpha and like people want to pray for me. I'm like, it just felt so weird. Like, I can do that. Like, I can ask someone to pray for me, And so that was kind of mind boggling to me. And then to even just pray in a group, like that was so powerful for us to pray in a group. So then at the retreat, I went up for the soaking prayer. So I first went under the waterfall. So you sit and see that waterfall, but when you're sitting at the base of it, it's overwhelming. And the tears, I mean, I could have filled up that baptismal font with my tears, just sobbing, and having someone silently pray for you even was like, it was just I felt like I did on that hike. Like I just felt like this giant ball of guck just fell off of me. And then I just kind of sat for a while, and then I went to the soaking where the cross is. And again, I just felt like I left chunks of me all over the room that day. And then I went and prayed with two men. I just felt led to do that. I think a lot of the talk at Alpha about thinking of God the Father, Abba Father, and visualizing like sitting on his lap really got me. And so I felt drawn to talk to pray with some men. And it was, I joke I've hosted alpha since, and I joke with people, you know, we should have buckets at these prayer stations, because at one point I looked down and I had just this long string of snot dripping into my purse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I joked of me. I left snot in my purse. Like it was just.
Thank you for affirming, Wendy, that during this season, online alpha is the way to go.
Yeah, we joked about that. I'm like, you guys, you can have a string of snot like on your couch. You don't have to worry about it being embarrassed.
Yeah. Oh, funny.
Yeah, so it's just like all the work I had been doing with coaching and like rebuilding myself inside kind of laid this great foundation. And this was like that final piece that really just, you know, it just fills in all the gaps of your imperfections.
Yes. Yes. I really appreciate that for a couple of reasons. You know, there's nothing going out into the world and getting doing the work that needs to be done to kind of restore your soul and to unpack some of the layers, which you had been doing a lot of that work through your health coaching, because you have to unpack all that so that you don't ooze it all over other people when you're doing coaching and stuff, right? But that piece alone was not going to quite do it. It was going to take Holy Spirit, really, to be the glue or the gold that fills in those cracks, to really bring healing. That was the only way true, real healing was going to happen, was through Holy Spirit. And that's what you got at the Holy Spirit retreat.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
And then I reaffirmed my baptism. So that was pretty powerful as well. And so I just hosted for the third time. I'm hooked now. I went to the big national conference back in early February. That was fantastic. So the thing I think I'm most excited about is I've learned how to pray out loud, and I've learned how to pray for other people. And I just love it. Yeah. I never thought it's something I could do.
Wendy, I'm curious, have you dug into the Enneagram at all?
Yes. I'm a 2 and a 9. Like literally I had the exact number of responses for 2 and 9.
Okay. All right. Well, that would make sense. Because 2, you probably have a pretty strong perfectionist wing on 2 wing 1, I would imagine. I'm a 1, which is a perfectionist. But just hearing you talk about some of that stuff, you've probably got a pretty strong perfectionist wing going on there too, which is good and fine. And perfectionists are the ones who get things done and care about doing things right. So that's good. It matters. It can also be unhealthy and make you crazy, but you know, that's with everything actually.
Well, the other side of that is I go, if it's not perfect, then I'm like, screw it, it's not worth doing it at all. And I go from that to sit on the couch and check out, I'm done. Like if I can't do it 100%, then I'm not going to do it. So I'd say that's something that coaching and the Holy Spirit has done for me, that when I'm feeling that down ick, I'm like, wait, what's going on? You know, I don't take it personal that I'm lazy, that I can't commit to anything, that I only start things I don't finish, you know, all that stuff is like, no, like what's really going on? It's like a speed bump. And what I would say, what I've noticed when I reflect back on my life, all the times that I really checked out, I was just on the edge of something good. And so I really learned that I really feel like the devil, when I'm like really ready to step into something powerful, he's like, wait, what? I'm losing her. And so now when I feel that, I'm like, ha ha ha, nice try. Like I see what's happening. And now I almost get excited when I feel that way, because I'm like, I must be onto something good because he's coming after me. So now instead of it like taking me down, it's almost like fuel, like, interesting.
Yeah.
I must be onto something.
Yep. Let's keep pushing this, right? Let's see what's on the other side of that. Yeah. So how would you say, like, if you could compare yourself to, let's even go like a year before the summer of 2017, because that's when everything broke open for you, right? That's 17. So let's go to a year before then to now. Like if you could pick out a couple of the biggest changes in your life, what would they be?
I think I'm a better mom. It made me a better mom. I'm a better listener. Still working on it, but I'm a better listener to God. I'm listening to him more, but I'm a better listener to other people. Just the confidence. And it's not a cocky confidence, it's a God confidence. And so I constantly say, not only do I know who I am now, but I know whose I am.
One of the things that, as you know, with this conversation series, kind of the theme of this series is that each one of us has been made by God to matter to the world in a way that no one else does. And let's be clear, you were doing that before God got a hold of you, right? You were existing in the world to the best of your ability at that time. You were there for your family, and even though you would be the first to say it's gotten better, but you were still there for your family. You loved your kids and loved your husband and loved them the best that you could at the time, right? So you mattered in the world, period. And then Jesus kind of got a hold of you. And I also just want to put the dots really close together for people. You went through a really painful time, right? I don't want to, sometimes folks are afraid to pray for trust, and they're afraid to pray for courage, and they're afraid to pray for patience because they're afraid of what they might have to go through to experience, to get those things. And I really get that. But I know that one thing you and I have talked about, and I've talked in other platforms about my own experiences, I went through really, really, really dark times. I wouldn't wish them on anyone, but I also wouldn't wish that God hadn't allowed them to come to me because of how much they changed my whole life. And I wonder if you would you agree with that, disagree with that? What do you think?
120%. I mean, there was a class that I took at Hope. We had a piece of paper and we did like a timeline.
Yep, a life map.
With life map.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, even that, like, you had to mark moments of like big change or big pivots in your life. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Every one of those was a pain, something painful, either emotionally or physically. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're like zombies going along and we have to feel pain to like wake us up. And I feel even like the COVID quarantine was like, it forced everyone to slow down and just be present. And I feel like it lifted a veil for a lot of people. Like, what am I doing? So as horrible as it's been, obviously I wouldn't ask for something like that. But for me, it's been like another awakening. Like, wow, like we all need to take breaks. We all need time to listen to what he's trying to tell us.
Thanks for joining us today for the Summer Conversation Series. You can find all the information on how to get a hold of Wendi in the show notes, and we will be back next Monday with another episode. Thanks for joining us.